What's good, fellow Outcasts and other rejects? It's Karmpit here, and welcome to WTC, the Anime Outcasts. First off, if you're new here, we upload anime what-ifs based around My Hero and other shows like it. Secondly, did you know 80% of our audience isn't subscribed? So if you want us to continue making videos, make sure to like and subscribe. Now, let's get right into the video. Running throughout the city at supersonic speeds, Izuku thought about the words his mentor's successor gave him not moments ago, saying that he can inspire others in ways he never could. Izuku briefly thought that maybe, just maybe, he could become the next symbol of peace. Izuku thought to himself that since the sun was still up, he could train his quirk. Heading over to the beach to train, he saw his childhood friend and rival Bakugo staring into the sunset. "What are you doing here, Kachan?" Izuku asked the spiky blonde, walking up to him. "Oh, hey nerd," Bakugo replied, looking right at him. The two looked at each other, silently. Tension of awkwardness surrounded the two until Bakugo broke the silence. "How'd you do it?" Bakugo asked, demanding an answer. Do what?" Izuku replied in confusion. "Your quirk. How were you able to keep up with me?" Bakugo asked, irritated by the fact that his childhood friend and rival outwitted him in a fight. Years and years of study, Kachan. Plus, I got a basic understanding of how my quirk works," asked Izuku, realizing that the nerd Bakugo knew all this time that he had completely changed. "You're smart, Deku. While we were fighting, you said you wanted to become the next All Might. Are you his successor or something?" The suspicious Bakugo asked, to which the green-haired boy quickly denied. "Forget that. Either way, you won't get lucky again. Next time I will beat you." Bakugo continued, activating his quirk as small explosions exploded in his palms. "Then why don't we train together? Improve on each other's moves. We're going to need it if we become the next #1 hero," Izuku asked, reasoning with the spiky blonde, to which he instantly accepted, although reluctantly. "Alright, from this day forward, I'm not just your childhood bully anymore. I'm your rival." "Got it, you damn nerd," Bakugo replied, accepting Izuku's offer. The two rigorously trained for the remainder of the day, improving on each other's moves. This caused Bakugo's reflexes to improve drastically, much better than the original canon. With that, after spending the whole afternoon training, both of him and Bakugo's skills has improved, increasing Izuku's top speed to just over Mach 1, while improving Bakugo's reflexes and reaction time thanks to Izuku using his speed to fight him. As morning rose, both Izuku and Uraka did their usual morning routine, taking anti-nausea pills to help her when it comes to running with Izuku. The walk to school was pretty uneventful until they saw a huge crowd of news reporters arriving at school. One of the news reporters spots Izuku and immediately swarm him with questions. "Are you the next successor of All Might?" One reporter overwhelmed the young speedster with questions. "How is it like to be struck by lightning?" Another one asked. They continued the swarm of questions until Izuku grabbed Uraka and ran into the school, causing all the news reporters to stumble back from the shockwave Izuku created as he took off. Arriving at homeroom, Izuku sat down at his desk as Aizawa briefed the class on what was expected of the day. After finishing his introduction to the racer hero, announced that the class would choose a class representative, which made Ida come up with an election to see who would become the class rep, mentioning that everyone must put their trust into one another. As the class voted on their preferred choice, it was obvious who would become first place. Revealing the results, Izuku came up with five votes, while Momo had 4, much to Ida's disappointment, shocking the young speedster. "Alright, the class rep is Midoriya. His vice rep is Yaoyorozu," Aizawa announced, with Izuku and Momo standing in front of the class. "I knew this would happen," Yaoyorozu commented. After homeroom, it was time for lunch. Izuku ordered his typical buffet, his lunch taking almost the entire lunch table. sitting down with Ida and Uraka. Izuku immediately began speed eating. "Aren't you going to choke on your food?" Ida asked, in a bit of disgust, seeing Izuku finish his entire bowl of rice in seconds, then reaching for his large bowl of sushi. No," Izuku replied, which caused him to choke on his food in between bites, causing Uraka to help him out, coughing as happy for the sushi. "Told you," Ida replied. After Izuku ate his lunch, the three chatted about their desires on wanting to become a hero. Izuku then interrupted the two, asking why they chose him to be a class rep, with Ida quickly responding, "Because you have a lot of courage and will do what is right, along with the fact that you can maintain yourself in high stress. Besides, you deserve it way more than me," Ida answered, causing Izuku to rethink the entire class rep. Izuku unable to reply, as all of a sudden alarms went off, causing distress in the school. Noticing the same horde of reporters, they were quickly prompted to exit the school in an orderly fashion. A loud crowd began to form, and soon a huge block of students blocking the exit. The trio separated from one another as Ida commanded Uraka to make him weightless, as she did. So Ida used his reciprocal burst to propel himself to the exit, calming everyone down as they turned their attention to the news reporters, relieving everyone. With everything out of the way, class resumed. Izuku and Momo immediately take the front of the class. "Before class begins, I want to say something," Izuku declared as Momo looked at him in confusion. I know you guys all wanted me to become the class representative. I thank you for that, knowing that you lend your trust upon me. But after a long time thinking, I honestly think that Tenya Ida should replace me as class representative," Izuku announced, shocking the entire class. "Wait, why? Aren't you the best student in our class?" Kaminari asked. Well, Izuku continued. "I'm happy that you all think of me as your best student and role model, and yes, that may be true, but ever since I got here, I've been taking away everyone's spotlight. All of you need to stop putting your trust on me and putting me on a pedestal and praising me. Although I appreciate it, I don't want you guys to all live under my shadow," Izuku explained, looking directly at Ida. "Midoriya, thank you," Ida replied, thanking his friend and rival. A few hours go by as Izawa's teaching class, announcing that today they'll be doing some rescue training for the day. Exciting the class, eager to prove themselves once again before Izawa silenced. "You'll be dealing with natural disasters and shipwrecks. What you wear to this exercise is completely up to you. Your hero costume may limit your performance, so make sure you decide what you're going to wear." Izawa continued opening the shelf of hero costumes. "You'll be heading to an off-campus facility, so you'll be taking the bus to get there," Izawa instructed. The students promptly grabbed their hero costumes, grabbing the briefcase that contained Izuku's costume quickly, taking out Izuku's speed to quickly put it on. And Izuku was now ready for some hero training. "Time to put my quirk to the test," Izuku muttered out loud. Meeting outside, Ida quickly gathered the class, instructing them to board the bus in two unique lines. The class did so as they boarded the bus. Not being able to sit next to his stepsister, Izuku sat next to Suyu, while Ida sat directly in front of him. During the bus ride, Izuku was thinking about how he could become a better hero. Going over the time he made a tornado, asking himself, can he use his quirk to come up with more useful attacks? Clenching his fist, Suyu noticed Izuku, who was a bit distressed. "Hey, Midoriya, there's something I need to ask," Suyu breaking the silence, as the young speedster looked at her. What is it, Asui?" Izuku asked. I told you you can call me Sue. Anyway, your quirk is so similar to Kaminari's and Ika's quirk," Suyu stated, Izuku looking at his hero costume. "Yeah, come to think of it, it's like their two quirks combined. The way you run and exert electricity at the same time," Hiroshima stated the obvious, remembering yesterday's hero exercise. I agree. Say, if you want, I can teach you how to use lightning-based attacks. Kaminari agreed to generate bolts of electricity. It wasn't long until the entire bus was talking about their quirk. Meanwhile, Uraraka sat next to Yairozu, thinking how cool her stepbrother is slightly blushing, which caught Momo's attention. Hey, Ochako, what do you think of Midoriya? Momo asked, causing Uraraka to freeze up. Her face slowly turned red. He's... Just before Uraraka could answer, the bus skidded to a halt as Aizawa notified the class that they have arrived. Stopping in front of a large glass dome, the bus doors opened as Class 1A stood in front of a huge structure.
Glad to see everyone's here. Hello, everyone.
The Space Hero 13 introduced herself to the class, causing Uraraka to fangirl at the sight of her favorite hero. 13's my favorite hero. I'm so excited for this. Uraraka, unable to contain herself, causing her stepbrother to calm her down. Walking into the gigantic dome, everyone was baffled at the sight. At first glance, it looked like some sort of music park, but each section was a specific disaster. Shipwrecks, landslides, along with fires, this enticed Izuku, who was eager to put his quirk to the test. The Space Hero welcomed the students, noticing that the symbol of peace wasn't there. A confused Aizawa quickly asked where he was until the Erasure Hero was notified that he used too much of his power and was resting in the teacher's lounge. Starting without Autumn, 13 explained her quirk, Black Hole, allowing her to suck up any loose object, giving a small lecture that everyone's quirk has the potential to be deadly, and that should also be used to protect others in need. Just before starting, both Izuku and Aizawa felt something was wrong. Noticing a huge portal open up in front of them, numerous villains walked out of the purple portal, surrounding the entire class. Izuku promptly putting on his cowl, attempting to contact All Might through his comlink. But that was built into his suit to no avail. Crap, I can't contact UA. They must have jammed my comms, Izuku said to himself. Who are those people? Kirishima asked. Those are villains. I recognized some of the guys during junior high when we went to Star Labs during our graduation trip. In fact, most of them didn't have a quirk prior to the particle accelerator. Entered Izuku as fear started to build up within him. Noticing a large humanoid figure walk out of the portal, Izuku knew they were in trouble, clenching his fist to ready himself. Where's that symbol of peace? I brought so many friends to draw him out, and he doesn't want to come out and play. The villain covered in hands asked as more and more villains surrounded the class. Why bring so many villains to a UA facility? Kirishima asked out loud. Deku, can you contact UA through your comm? Uraraka asked, seeing the distress on her stepbrother's face. No, I tried contacting All Might. As soon as they popped out of that portal, someone's quirk's interfering with my comm link. Izuku answered, attempting to call out for help, but to no avail. And the alarm system is down. Someone must be responsible for this. Todoroki added on, as Aizawa spoke to Izuku. Midoriya, come with me. The Eraser Hero instructed the Eraser Hero, causing the young speedster to walk towards his teacher. Since your quirk is so unique and not natural, I'm unable to cancel your quirk. With that being said, I'm going to need you to incapacitate the villains I capture. Got it? Aizawa asked, glancing at his pupil. Yes, sir. Izuku responded as his eyes sparked with electricity. Then let's go. Just as Aizawa jumped down and captured the villains closest to him, charging down towards them, the numerous villains, Izuku created a streak of orange electricity, only being a blur of scarlet red, quickly knocking the villains out by delivering a quick speed punch to the face, discarding them within seconds. This kid's getting annoying. The villain, covered with hands, muttered, scratching his face. Take this opportunity to run, you guys! Izuku shouted, dodging an attack from one villain, returning with a quick jab to the chest, knocking out the villain. Deku's right. We should get out of here, said Uraraka, as Class 1A headed towards the exit. only be blocked by a huge purple mist with glowing eyes. Don't think you're going to escape, children. It's a pleasure to meet you all. The misted villain proclaimed, slowly engulfing the students, quickly introducing their villainous league called the League of Villains, saying that the USJ would be a perfect place to end the symbol of peace, and to prove that the villains cannot be stopped. Freezing the entire class with absolute horror while this purple villain spoke. Midoriya, go help the class I can manage on my own, Aizawa instructed, looking at the young speedster. Okay, be careful, sir, Izuku replied reluctantly. It seems that the symbol of peace isn't here right now. Must be a change of plans, but no matter. We can just draw him out. The misted villain shouted, engulfing the students with his purple fog, noticing a trail of orange electricity heading towards him with his yellow eyes, darted at the sight of Izuku Midoriya. Like hell, that's gonna happen! Izuku shouted, lunging towards the misted villain, attempting to deliver a fast speed punch, only for him to go right through the purple cloud vapor. Ah, eager to fight, I see. The villain asked, taunting Izuku, who just regained his footing and charged directly at the villain. How about I scatter you across this entire facility so you can meet the rest of my friends? How's that sound? The villain taunting Izuku as a wall of purple vapor engulfed his entire class, sending them throughout the facility. The next thing Izuku knew was he was falling into a pool of water, unable to help himself as he dove headfirst into the water. What the hell? Where am I? Izuku asked himself, trying to catch his bearings, just as a shark villain charged towards him. You're mine now, kid! The shark villain shouted, opening his jaws ready to devour the speedster. Suddenly, a long tongue grabbed Izuku, flinging him and Mineta onto the boat, saving them from the oncoming villain. Thanks for the same, Asui. Thanks, Izuku. Standing back up. I told you can call me Sue. Suyu reminded him. So what's going on? Why don't you target us? Mineta asked in a panic. Because they want to set an example. To kill the student of peace right in front of us. Izuku answering the great midget's question. Well, it's not like they can kill All Might, right? Mineta responded, questioning Izuku. No, they'll die trying, though. Which is why we need to stop them before they even lay a finger on him. Izuku declared, punching his fists in the palms with a determined look. How do I do that? Suyu asked, while the water villain surrounded them. We need to get back to land without risking anyone to get hurt. Izuku answered, thinking of a possible strategy, just as his eyes widened, realizing what he needed to do. That's it! I got it! Izuku shouted, realizing his next move. What are you planning to do? What about? Suyu asked, remember how I created that speed tornado during the practice exam? Izuku asked, referencing the time where he saved Uraraka. Yeah, why? Suyu asked, just as she noticed the surrounding villains waiting for him. Wait, you're planning to create a water tornado that sucks everything up? Mineta asked Izuku, and Izuku nodded. But how do you know you can do it? As a scared Mineta asked. That's the thing. I never ran on water before, but I have to try. Izuku responded, readying himself. You two grab a hold of me. I'll drive you guys off on land while I deal with these villains by myself. Izuku instructed while his body started with orange electricity. Ready to you up? Izuku started running with Suyu unable to complete her sentence because he jumped in the air and using his speed to propel himself into the air. He's in the air! Get him! One of the villains commanded, pointing at the Scarlet Emerald speedster. He's too fast, another villain responded, throwing both Suyu and Mineta off of him at high velocity. Quickly grabbing Mineta by the tongue, the two students landed on the shore, just as Izuku began to fall into the water. This is it! This is my chance! Izuku said to himself, feeling his foot touch the surface of the water, immediately activating his quirk. Izuku started to run on water, circling all the villains. What's happening? The shark villain asked, just as he got sucked into the speed vortex Izuku was creating. Forming a water tornado, Izuku ran faster and faster, causing the boat that they were on to break apart. Using the broken pieces as footing,
just like he did in the entrance exam. Seeing Izuku do his thing made Suyu look in awe, seeing the speedster deal with the villains. That Midoriya is sure special. Ribbit. Suyu commented, blushing at the sight of Izuku. Launching himself out of the water tornado, Izuku regrouped with the two. Seeing his water tornado dissipate, all the villains he sucked in began to fly everywhere, knocking them all out. Try that on for size, Izuku bragged, seeing the end result of his attack. While this was happening, Aizawa was barely able to fend off the remaining villains, who started out to overrun him. I gotta help out Aizawa, Izuku shouted immediately, taking off, charging towards Aizawa, just as the villain covered by hands started to decay his elbow. Lay your hands off of him! Izuku shouted, delivering a speed punch to the villain's head, knocking off one of the hands, taking Aizawa to safety. Midoriya, you saved me, Aizawa asked, holding his elbow. That's what heroes do, right? Save those in need. Izuku smiled, just seeing the rest of the villains charge after him. Midoriya, you can't take them on by yourself, Aizawa muttered as speech device engulfed the charging villains, turning attention to Todoroki. He's not alone, Todoroki shouted, entrapping the villains in place. Slowly getting up, the villain with hands noticed one of his hands wasn't covering his face. That annoying kid, the villain shouted, punching the ground. If I can't kill the symbol of peace, then maybe I could destroy his pride. The hand-covered villain muttered, lunging towards Asui. Just as Izuku notices taking off at super speed, Izuku lunged towards the villain, turning his attention towards Izuku. And here he comes. The villain, seeing Izuku jump towards him at lightning speed. Don't you dare touch him! You hear me? Izuku shouted, ready to deliver a devastating speed punch, only to be stopped by the gigantic monster. What the? The confused Izuku asked, seeing the gigantic humanoid figure hold his fist. Nomu, take out the trash, the villain ordered, commanding the gigantic beast. The Nomu promptly lifted Izuku into the air, throwing him into the wall, gasping in pain. That thing to stop my attack? Izuku asked, getting himself back up. The Nomu advanced towards him. How could I beat him? He's too strong, Izuku declared, shaking in fear. Back at UA, Principal Nezu was just getting a cup of coffee. Just as his phone started to go off, notifying an alert. Glancing at his phone, he saw a notification indicating that Izuku Midoriya's vitals started crashing, dropping his cup of tea, which immediately shattered. Principal Nezu quickly ran towards the teacher's lounge, immediately opening the door. Seeing the symbol of peace sitting on the couch, who was still resting from the early hero work that he did before arriving. All Might, it's Mr. Midoriya. He's in trouble, Principal Nezu shouted, just as All Might picked up his phone, seeing the same notification that Nezu received. What? Where is he? All Might asked, opening an app that was linked to Izuku's suit. He's at the unforeseen simulation joint with his class. Something happened, Principal Nezu answered, looking at his GPS tracker installed on Izuku's suit. All Might, you're the only one who could get there in time. You need to save him, Nezu continued, which the symbol of peace immediately transformed into his muscle form. Don't worry, young Midoriya. I'm coming to save you, All Might shouted, just as he darted out of the room, heading towards the USJ. And that is the end of Part 7. Thank you all, Outcasts and Rejects, for watching till the end of the video. If this video gets 80 likes in 2 weeks, we'll continue the series. Other than that, if you have any questions about the series or channel, sound off in the comments, or feel free to check our Discord. And I will have my own socials down there in the description. So, if you want to see any of my content, go ahead and click there. But without further ado, see ya!